This is my studio, and this is the extruder I was talking about. As you can see, it's quite large. Actually, it's 7 feet. This is my ceiling is 7 feet, and you can see it comes almost to the top of the ceiling. Now what I have is this extruder is steel frame, and it's attached to a 4x4, which I then attach to the wall studs. So the 4x4 kind of holds it up, and you can move that around. If you have a really high ceiling, then what you can do is this whole thing can be raised up. Right now, the platform, because of the size, is down close to the floor, about 2 feet from the floor, which means that I have to get down on a pillow on my knees to do the extruding. So it'd be great if that was high or at waist height, but that means that the whole unit have to be raised up. So let me show you the parts before I show you in action. There's the big air cylinder, which you can see, and there's the plunger that comes out of the air cylinder. Now that plunger, as you can see, goes down into the barrel and has a flat plate on it. And that flat plate, oh, I can pull this up, yeah. That flat plate pushes the clay down. As you can see, it stops right there. So I'm just going to put that there so we can see it. So there's various pieces that holds the clay. I don't know how much that holds. In fact, I have clay in there, so I put the bag on. I would think it probably holds at least 25 pounds, maybe more. But you can add clay as it goes so we can keep it working. And I'll show you how the various parts work, where the die goes and so on. The first part you need to know about is the compressor. And here's a picture of my compressor. And then this is where the air comes into. What I have here is a filter and a pressure gauge. I just have it stuck here, but that can be fixed up better for yourself. As you can see, the pressure's very low to none. I usually will adjust this by turning this once the compressor's on to go over 100 pounds. That kind of pressure that you need to push down. This particular has a filter on to let water out, which is a good idea so water doesn't come in line. So the exit on that, it goes down to a foot pedal down here. The foot pedal is like a switch. It's what makes the shaft go up and down. Every time it's pushed, it activates. On this side, you can see, is a lever. Now this is in the neutral position right here. This controls the up and down motion. When you want the plunger to go down and extrude, this gets pushed up. The foot pedal gets pushed, and the extrusion will come out, as you'll see in the demo. To bring the plunger up, we put it in that position, and then when the foot pedal's pressed, the plunger will come up so you can refresh the box. So that's basically it, really. Air comes in, works the plunger, and then it goes out again to bring out the extrusion. Now I have the table set down there. I set the table, it's usually, you can see there's adjustments on the table, I think way down to 18 inches. I set that for the height of the extrusion I'm working on, so that when I bring the extrusion down, it sits on that table so I can cut it. It sort of stabilizes. So that works pretty well for me. For that kind of, I think the extrusion that I'm doing in the demo is like 9 or 10 inches, something like that. So you'll get to see that. So let's see how it works, and I'll show you the various parts. And this is the expansion box. The expansion box is put on to make large dies. Now this will attach here just like this holder here for these dies, but this goes here, and then bigger dies are put on the expansion box. So what you're seeing on the expansion box, of course this is a rubberized piece so that it would take up the slack. So these are the dies that I have. Right here, this is the piece that attaches to the extruder. You can see by these bolts, and you'll see when I attach that. This is what holds the dies. Now these are a couple of dies that I have. I actually bought these from Bailey Ceramic Supply, already made up. They have several different kinds, and you can see they're just plywood, but it's cabinet grade plywood, a lot of plies, And then I have a square one here that I got, and it's attached with these pieces. Now this is what holds the die on, as you probably know. This is a bigger one than I made myself. This is for the expansion chamber, and it makes an actually good sized piece. I think that's 9 inches, and I made that to my specifications. And this is just a piece of cabinet grade plywood that you can use to make these dies. This is another die that I made. This I made out of corian. Corian is a cabinet top for kitchen tops. It's a plastic material, but it's very dense and hard. So I decided, since I had a bunch of it, to make a die out of it. So I made a smaller version of that here. And as you can see, I actually made these just with hardware I could get at the hardware store, Home Depot. And it adjusts. It's out of adjustment now. So that will hold that up while the clay comes down here and forces through the die. This is the expansion chamber, and as you can see, this has the 2 attachments that goes on the shaft that holds the clay. And this allows a very large piece, and that's why I use this. I made this die to fit on here, and that's what that big one is for. It fits on the expansion box like that. So it comes out of the cylinder and fills this chamber, and it will make a larger piece. So those are the dies that I have, and I'm going to show you with another die. I'm going to show you something here. This is another die that I have that I'm probably going to keep. This is a die that makes an octagon extrusion, and I'm going to attach that to here so you can see how that will work. This is the die I'm going to use for this. I'm going to put it down here. I wish this were bigger because it just barely fits on here. So I don't want any clay coming out around the edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tape. This is something called Gorilla Tape. I also used another kind of tape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down here so that it will keep this, first of all, from sliding around. And then also, hopefully, prevent clay from squeezing down around there and oozing out. So this way I can get something together on that. So let me finish this up, and then we'll give it a try with clay. I haven't used this before, so I'm hoping that it's good and strong. I used a metallic tape that they use for winding around sheet metal pipes. And that's pretty strong stuff too, but this is supposed to be real strong, so we'll see how it works. Oh, we have the die in place. Now we pick it up, and these washers, the die slides in, and the washers go over this top piece, which now I can tighten down. And this tightening these down then eliminates that problem. Now the die is ready to go, and these are just tightened down. Now I'm going to put some clay into the cylinder, just let it drop, and I'm going to push up on the air piece, the cylinder, and let it come right down onto there. Now the switch is in the neutral position now. If I flip it up and depress the foot pedal, you will see start to go down. Comes my other piece. I'm going to stop it, hold it, stop it. Cut it. And hold it, and I have my piece.